Okay, let's start. Up to last day, what we have done is studied the equivalent circuit of induction motor. Before that, we understood its operation principle, its various types and all. But last class, what we discussed was a equivalent circuit of induction motor. And now, using that equivalent circuit, what we have to do is understand the torque slip characteristics, which is very important for an induction motor, and also derive many equations. Those equations will be required for solving problems. So our main objective was to understand our equivalent circuit, which we had done in the last class. And next, what we will do, using from that equivalent circuit, today's class will be addressing the torque slip characteristics of induction motor. Okay. So let's get started. So this was our number 2 point, shows our equivalent circuit of induction motor, which we had done last day. And using this equivalent circuit only, we solved a problem. So we have a stator resistance R1 X1, rotor side was X2 R2 by S, and this was Xm. RC was neglected as RC was included in our constant losses or core loss. So in this circuit of induction motor equivalent circuit, we will apply first Thevenin's theorem. Okay. Now we'll apply Thevenin's theorem between these terminals A and B, because why? Your rotor side is your output. So this side becomes your output. So what you do in Thevenin's theorem, you find out Thevenin's equivalent voltage and Thevenin's equivalent resistance. Over here we have to find out impedance because there is X over here. If it was only a resistive circuit, then we would have told that Thevenin's equivalent resistance. So what we do is remove the load terminals, right? Remove the load terminals. This X2 R2 by S will be removed. And across these two terminals, A and B, we will calculate the voltage. That will give you your Thevenin's equivalent voltage. And then remove our load, keep the load open as possible. Between these two terminals A and B, we'll find the equivalent resistance or impedance after all the sources in the circuit are deactivated. So this is voltage source, it has to be deactivated, it has to be short circuit. But we have to find the resistance across this AB and voltage across this AB terminals only. So that is my third point that I have written. We will apply Thevenin's theorem in the circuit, which consists of R1, X1, Xm and V1, and that whole circuit will be replaced by a Thevenin's equivalent voltage V. Last step, equivalent impedance ZE. You can write VTH, ZTH, whatever you want, and after that in series with the load resistance or load impedance, that is R2 by S and X2. So what my objective is, next we have to study, implement Thevenin's theorem in this circuit given in point number 2, which is nothing but your induction motor equivalent circuit. So that circuit which we had drawn over here, this part of the circuit can be replaced by a, remember what is the third step? We have studied, I have told you just now, we'll replace this circuit by a equivalent voltage source in series with a impedance. Okay, that voltage source is VE and ZE over here. So see over here, VE and ZE, RE plus JX. And after that, what we connect is a load resistance between this terminal A and B, or load impedance. What is my load impedance over here? X2 and R2 by S, this side. So we'll attach it. So this becomes our Thevenin's equivalent circuit. You can draw the circuit in this way also, like last day we had discussed. This R2 by S can be written as R2 into R plus R2 into 1 minus S by S. This represents the complete rotor side, and this is your variable resistance, which can be changed. Okay, so this part is your Thevenin's equivalent circuit before A and B. After A and B is your load part. So this is basically Thevenin's equivalent circuit of induction motor. You can draw this one also, whichever you need, no problem. So fifth point, I have written the terms what are used over here. What is V? Voltage appearing across terminals A, B with rotor circuit disconnected from this 2 point, Thevenin's equivalent voltage. This is the Thevenin's equivalent voltage. And what is ZE is nothing but your Thevenin's equivalent impedance. And what will be ZE? RE plus JXE. So Z will have a real part as well as a imaginary part. If you compare, if you get the real part, that real part will be RE and that imaginary part will be XE. So we need to go for this calculation. What will be the value of RE? What will be the value of XE? Then go for some approximations to get a result. So we are continuing with the same discussion over here. You have the Thevenin's equivalent circuit, the induction motor equivalent circuit drawn in the first. That circuit is drawn into the Thevenin's equivalent circuit, this one. So I need from left hand side conversion to the right hand side conversion. This conversion is required. And between AB, this AB point is this voltage V. This X point, X and R2 by S are removed. So this point is removed now. Voltage between A and B. This total comes in series circuit. This is a series circuit. You can apply voltage divider rule. What is voltage divider rule? Total voltage into same impedance. What is the same impedance? This one, XM. Because between A and B, which impedance is connected? XM. Divided by total impedance of the circuit, which is R1 plus JX1 plus XM. So what will be the total voltage? V1 into same impedance, that is we are finding impedance between A and B, that is JXM. Please remember to use your J form because it is a X. So next, what will be the total impedance of this part from R1 to XM back to this negative? So R1, these two are impedances, inductive reactances, so they will get added. So X1 plus XM into J. So total impedance over here is R1 plus JX1 plus XM. This is your VTH or VE. This VE voltage. This VE voltage is this one. Now, what is the equivalent impedance between these two branches? Again, remove this part. This part is removed. From here, you will observe. Here, you will observe what you do. You short circuit these two terminals. If you short circuit these two terminals, what you will get? Or observation is like this rather. What you will get? This branch XM comes in parallel with this branch. So JXM parallel with R1 plus JX1. So when two impedances are connected in parallel, how you write your impedance? Z1 Z2 by Z1 plus Z2. So what is Z1 now? JXM Z1. What is Z2 now? R1 plus JX1 So Z1 Z2 divided by Z1 plus Z2. What is Z1? JXM plus this one. So J taken common, X1 plus XM plus R1. Up to this, if anybody has any doubt, you can ask. Okay. So I think you understood up to this how we are writing, applying. Is this real part and the imaginary part of this? This Thevenin. এই ZE টা বার করলাম, we have found out ZE, we'll get something the 5 plus J3, তাহলে 5 will be the resistive part of the circuit and X3 will be the we have to convert this in polar into rectangular form তাহলে যদি বলে এই সাইডের লসটা বার করতে তাহলে I square R into RE হয়ে যাবে. If total loss you have to find out, then I square into RE plus R2S. That's how you can find out your losses. That's why we have to separate our R and X in order to find out the losses. then only you can go for finding efficiency. That's why separation of ZE into RE and XE is required. Yes. Next. These are all the calculations done, which we'll do step by step. Up to this, we had written, see, ZE is equal to RE plus JXE. This formula, up to this, we have written R1 plus JX1 into JXM divided by this one. So up to this, we have done. Up to this, we have done. Then after that, normal calculation, what I did, multiplied this in bracket, this one into this one. So first term will be what? R1 into XM into J. So J R1 XM. See, J R1 XM. First term. What will be the second term? J into J. That gives you J square. That is minus 1. So minus X1 into XM. So minus X1 into XM. And denominator keeping it equal. Okay. Next, what we'll do? We will multiply the numerator and denominator with the complex conjugate of this form. So if it is A plus JB over here, okay, this is A plus JB, this is A plus JB, will multiply denominator and numerator with A minus JB. So this part will come real part, because you know A plus JB into A minus JB will give you your A square minus B square. Okay, so we'll get that formula R1 plus JXM into R1 minus JX1 plus XM. So what we'll get? R1 square plus X1 plus XM square. J square is minus 1, and since we are multiplying A plus JB into A minus JB, so J square is minus 1 and plus into minus is minus, so minus minus becomes plus over here automatically. So we are multiplying this one R1 minus JXM in the numerator and denominator. You can understand this minus and plus will give you minus, and this J and J square will again give you minus. So that minus minus becomes plus. So this becomes plus over here. So R1 square plus X1 square plus XM square. And the upper term over here is multiplied with this one. Now, what we have to do next is separate our RE and JXE. See, the lower term is constant. The denominator is constant. So for RE and XE, we don't have to care about the denominator. So both will have the denominator R1 square plus X1 plus XM square. Both will have the denominator, this one. Only thing what will be, RE will be the real part of this, and XE will be the imaginary part of this, because it is associated with J. So we'll first determine what is our real part. If I multiply my first term minus X1 XM into R1, it is a real term. So one real term will be minus X1 XM R1. See, minus X1 XM R1 will be one real term. Second real term will be this J multiplied by J gives you J square. That is minus 1, and minus minus becomes plus. So second term will be R1 XM into bracket X1 plus XM. R1 XM into X1 plus XM, as J square becomes minus 1 and minus 1 minus minus becomes plus. So see, R1 into XM into X1 plus XM. So this is our real part, which is my RE. Next, imaginary part. If you multiply this second term, see, J R1 XM into R1, that will give you J R1 square XM. So this can be one imaginary part, R1 square XM. R1 square XM. See, R1 square XM is one imaginary part. And what will be the second imaginary part? If you multiply this one, second term of this equation into the first term over here, see, minus minus becomes plus. X1 XM into X1 plus XM. X1 XM into X1 plus XM. This becomes our imaginary part, which is equivalent to your XE. Up to this, anybody doubt? Calculations normal, just multiplication. Keep your idea that J square minus 1, and wherever it comes minus, minus minus becomes plus. Separate your real part and imaginary part into RE plus JX. All step by step problem means solution is done, and separation you can done directly. Okay, I have not written any step over here. Directly you can multiply each and every term and write this equation like this. So this is how we form our ZE, that is equal to RE plus JXE, and we have separated R and JX. R and X. Now, for an induction motor or a transformer, if you recall the facts when we were finding out doing open circuit test, right? We were finding out RC and XM, and those were very high values. This R1, R2, X1, and all are very small values. So R1, R2 compared to XM is very small. If you recall your open circuit test, we need to find out RC, XM. Those values were very large, whereas R1, R2 were very small. So here is square of that term, that will be more smaller. So this can be neglected compared to this. So xm plus x1 will be very much greater than this value. If you do the square, again this quantity will become much lesser than this quantity. So this can be neglected. We will make some simplifications according to that. So x1 plus xm is greater than r1. So r1 can be neglected from the denominator. Now I'll go to the previous one. See, VTH with neglecting R1, we'll write the equation now. Now if a question consists of R1, X1, XM and everything, you have to use these two standard equations, RE and X. If it is told R1 neglected, then you will go for the next formula. This is the standard equation. This number 7 up to number 7 was a standard equation for a RE and X. Now we will go for some approximations. If you have any doubt, you can ask. No. Next, if I go into this, see, this R1 is neglected now, as this is compared higher to this one. So if this R1 is neglected, this J and this J cancels out. This J and this J cancels out. So what we will get? V1 xm by x1 plus xm. So that is V1 xm by x1 plus x. So V can be written like this also. Next, how can RE and JXC be written? Now, this was a standard formula, R1 plus JX1 into JXM by R1 plus JX1 plus XM. This one is formula. This one we have already known, that formula only to this we have written. Now, this compared to this is negligible. So you can remove your R1. So we can remove your R1 over here. So remove your R1, this J and this J cancels out. This J and this J if cancels out, this J and this J if cancels out, in the denominator it becomes x1 plus xm. So no need to take care of your denominator again and again. Both RE and XC will have denominator x1 and xm. Now what will be the first term? R1 into xm. A real part. So R1 into xm is your real part divided by your x1 plus xm. What will be your imaginary part? J x1 into xm. This J is already cancelled out. So J x1 into xm. So x1 into xm by x1 plus xm. x1 into xm by x1 plus xm will be your imaginary part. So this is RE, this is Jx. This is RE and this is your x. So V, which was written as V1 xm by x1 plus xm, this x1 plus xm can be considered as x1. The stator self-reactance per phase, x1 plus xm over here can be replaced by x1. So this is the standard formula with neglecting your R1. See this circuit over here, if you remove this x1 and x2, only this part of the circuit remains. So this is basically your stator side only. So x1 plus xm is nothing but your stator side self-reactance. That's why they are telling this one as stator side self-reactance per phase. All per phase values I told you, x, r, z, all are per phase. So this V and ZE are this formulas, V1 xm by x1. ZE is equal to R1 xm by x1 plus J x1 xm by x1. So these are all the derivations we have done. Okay. Next, what we are doing, since we are studying torque slip characteristics, we have to find out the torque. Now we had derived the equation for torque also. If you recall the equation, torque is equal to power by omega s. So power was I square R. So if I square has to be found out, we have to find out the impedance also. So that's why ZE has to be found out, and then equivalent impedance was to be found out. So that's why all this ZE and VE are found out. So this is our circuit, Thevenin's equivalent circuit. Then what you do in the Thevenin's equivalent circuit, we apply KVL and write this VE equation. Sorry, we find out this load current I2. So this load current I2, what can be written as VE by ZE plus ZL. This part is ZE, this part is ZL. So we can write this equation. VE by ZE can be written as RE plus JX. RE plus R2 by S, because these two are resistances, go by this figure. We are not writing the whole equation now. You can substitute it later and find out what it is value. But for now, RE plus R2 by S will be the real part, and imaginary part will be XC plus X2. So that is what I have written over here. Now, again, I2 is your phase current, rotor current per phase. And when we find out the torque or power, we have to find out three phase. So torque TE is equal to 3 times of that. Okay, we have written it by M. M is number of stator phases. So it will be replaced by 3 since we are studying 3-phase induction motor, into what is the PG by omega S. M into PG by omega S was a torque equation. So PG is what? I2 square R2 by S into omega S. So we can write M by omega S in the next equation. M by omega S. I2 square is nothing but the magnitude of this. What is the, we'll write the magnitude only. So V square. In the denominator, what will be? This is A plus JB. So what will be the square root of, means what will be this? It will be root over A square plus B square for this. And when you do the square of this, the square root will be removed. So we can write RE plus R2 by S whole square plus XC plus X2 whole square. So this becomes a denominator. B square, because I2 square, this is complete is your I2 into R2 by S. This is R2 by S. So this is basically I2 square. This is R2 by S. This is M by omega S. So this is how we find out the torque equation. This is a standard torque equation of your induction motor. Any doubt up to this? You can ask or we'll proceed. So using this equation only, we have to derive all our characteristics and all. Next. Now see over here, M is stator, number of stator phases. V will be constant, Thevenin's equivalent voltage. Omega S will be again constant. It is dependent on synchronous speed. If you fix the number of poles, which is always fixed in the induction motor, so you can write this M omega S by V square total is a constant quantity. So we can replace it by a constant. So mv square by omega S is nothing but kt. Let it be replaced by a constant. So mv square by omega S can be written as 2 pi ns. Remember, this is small n. So this is rps. If you had written capital N, then it would have been 2 pi capital Ns by 60.
স্যার এখানে কেজিটা কি এমনি একটা কনস্ট্যান্ট
এটা ফিক্সড থাকবে, that's why we have considered this as a constant. যতটা পারবো we are reducing this circuit into simpler terms.
আচ্ছা
Okay. So torque T, this term mv square by omega S is replaced by kt. So kt divided by this into R2 by S. So kt divided by this into R2 by S. And xc plus x2 is come over here, is taken as capital X. Here you can write the whole term also, no problem. All approximations are done because to make this formula a little bit smaller and to look at little bit easier. because this much huge formula one will see and think what is there. So we are reducing this formula into small parts. That's why we have done some approximations over here. So this is the ultimate equation of your torque with all the constant values and all, and using this equation we will derive our torque slip characteristics. Now we had done a problem on induction motor and classified our slips into three regions. One was 0 to 1, which was motoring mode only. That means my machine is working at an induction motor only. If it is less than 0, it was generating mode, and if it is greater than 1, it was braking mode. So our main objective is to mainly study the motoring mode. Rest modes will just talk in small detail about that, but we have to understand our motoring mode, very important, because we are talking about induction motor. Now in motoring mode the slip ranges from 0 to 1, and my torque equation which we have derived, this one, right, last page, this red color box, this torque equation, kt by this one into r2 by s. So kt by this one into r2 by s, that's what I have written over here. Now when the values this in motoring mode is classified into two cases. Once sorry, your slip is very your slip is very low when it is very close to 0, that means 0.001, like that, and as it will increase to 1, it will be close to 1.95, 0.85, it will be close to 1. According to that, your torque will vary. How it will vary, we will get. Okay, that's why we are studying torque slip characteristic, variation of torque according to slip. Now slip can be written as also speed also. How? We know that ns minus nr by ns is equal to slip s. So that from there we can write the equation for nr, and we can write the equation for speed also. That's why it is a torque speed characteristics or torque slip characteristics are also same. Remember this, torque slip and torque speed are both characteristics are same, because slip and speed are interrelated, because s is equal to ns minus nr by ns. At low values of slip. Now what happens at low values of slip? Because s is in the denominator and this value s is very low, can I say r2 by s will be very high? So this whole term square will be very high compared to this x. So this x can be neglected. So next term what we did, see this is greater than greater, we have neglected that x term. Rest all terms kt r2 by s all are written. Now again in this term r2 by s will be greater than re. So this re can be neglected. So what term we get? kt into r2 by s into divided by r2 by s whole square. So this s square comes in the numerator and r square comes in the denominator, because there is a division sign over here. So what we will get? kt into s by r2. This r2 1 r2 cancels, 1 s and s cancels. Now what is r2? Your rotor resistance, which is fixed. So this is another constant quantity. So I can say that Te is directly proportional to s. So kt by r2 is constant. So kt is directly proportional to s. So at low values of slip, my torque is directly proportional to s. So hence is a straight line. Okay. Since slip is 0, at starting value of slip s is equal to 0, that means torque will also be 0. So it should be a straight line passing through origin. Okay. So we'll check the characteristics. See, starting from here, point origin, motoring region. We are studying only this motoring region. Don't go beyond this. We'll study that motoring region. So it starts from 0, straight line until maximum value of maximum torque occurs. It goes up to a straight line. After maximum torque occurs, it goes in a different way. We'll study that. So slip goes at low values of slip until maximum value of torque occurs. You will see. So at when slip will be 0, what will be nr? Obviously equal to ns. So nr is equal to ns at this point. See, nr is equal to ns at this point. There is 100%. It is written in terms of percentage. 100, 50%, 100% goes on increasing. At this side, it goes on decreasing. And also at this point, when slip is equal to 1, when slip is equal to 1, NR is equal to 0, right? So when NR is equal to 0, slip is equal to 1. See, slip is equal to 1. Slip is equal to 1. So this is slip 1, NR 0. This is slip 0, NR is equal to NS. We are starting from this point. I mean, actually we will have to start from this point only, but for now we are starting from this point. I will tell you, we are having a straight line up to this. Then what happens when values of slip becomes higher? Now as slip goes on into higher values, this quantity goes on reducing. Okay, as it comes nearer to 1, it becomes on, means its value almost remains constant because it is divided by that quantity 0.95 only. This square also remains very small, and since in xm is included, obviously this value will be greater. So this is greater than this. So this Re plus R2 by S can be neglected. So if you remove this Re plus R2 by S, what equation you will get? Kt by x square into R2 by S. So Kt by x square into R2 by S. And again this R2, x2 all can be found out by your short circuit and open circuit test. So those are constant values. So it becomes Kt by S. So it is inversely proportional to S now. T is inversely proportional to S. So rectangular hyperbola. Now you go to the curve and check. See, rectangular hyperbola. From here it is not linear. It is a rectangular hyperbola. Now at why it is not ending at 0 and it is having some value? If you look at this equation only, you can understand. See, what is the maximum, what is S maximum value? S at higher values of slip, that is maximum value is 1. So if I put 1 over here, this T will come out to be a constant value only, so it can't reduce to 0. So that's why it is ending at this point over here. But actually the motor is starting from this point only, right? Because NR is 0. This is standstill. Since there is no rotor speed, there is standstill, and slowly goes like this, reaches at this point, then after that is follows this straight line. So this is actually your starting point. This is actually your end point.
It is a 100% স্লিপ যেটা আছে,
এটা 100% স্পিড,
100%। হ্যাঁ, মানে ওই এস এর ভ্যালু যখন একদম 1 হয়ে যাচ্ছে, তখন তো মানে কি এনআরটা হচ্ছে 0।
NR 0 মানে একদম স্টার্টিং কন্ডিশন। রোটার ইজ নট রোটেটিং, that is NR equal to 0.
ইনস্ট্যান্টেনিয়াস টর্ক তো এটা ইনস্ট্যান্টেনিয়াস টর্ক, মানে ইনিশিয়াল টর্ক, সরি
ইনিশিয়াল। আর প্লটটা পুরো ইনস্ট্যান্টেনিয়াস, মানে প্রত্যেক পয়েন্টটা টর্ক। This is my initial point. This is my initial point, and this point is my final point. Yes.
Final.
আচ্ছা, এইবার this characteristic is most important because we are mainly operating as an induction motor only. So this is very important. This part of motoring region is very important. আচ্ছা, দেখো starting, this is TST, that is starting torque. So induction motor is always always called as self-starting motor. Means if I give my supply, it automatically. Okay, induction motor is called as self-starting motor because whenever you give a supply to the stator of the induction motor, there is automatically a torque develop at the starting only. You don't need to give any extra force to that motor to start at the initial point. It automatically develops a torque and the rotor starts rotating. You don't have to provide an external pressure on the rotor to make it rotate. So it is called as self-starting. Induction motor is also called as self-starting motor. Reason is what? There is always a starting torque. As soon as you give a supply, a torque gets automatically developed.
স্যার এখানে এসএমটি টা কি? এসএমটি
হচ্ছে ম্যাক্সিমাম স্লিপ এট ম্যাক্সিমাম টর্ক। টর্ক এই পয়েন্টটা ম্যাক্সিমাম, রাইট? দেখো পিক এসছে, SMT হচ্ছে slip at maximum torque. This has derivation. Tomorrow next class, মানে Wednesday's class will discuss about this. What is SMT?
Okay.
What is this value? Okay. Just now we are discussing about the characteristics, and at this point, since torque occurs maximum, the slip at maximum torque is known as SMT. Slip at maximum torque. MT মানে maximum torque. Yes. Achha. Next mode is a generating mode, which is less than 0. So you think normally how will be slip less than 0 on negative? When NR will be greater than NS, so how will you make NR greater than NS? Is it possible in induction motor to be NR greater than NS? Otherwise, no EMF will be developed, no current will be developed. Then what will happen? Yes, it is possible, but when you attach an external prime mover attach করে আমি ওটাকে জোরে ঘোরাচ্ছি। Externally we are attaching a prime mover to the rotor, and using that prime mover we are rotating that induction motor above synchronous speed. Then only it is possible. That mode is called your generating mode, or S less than 0. So this mode is S less than 0, which is in this generating mode. So again, 0 to -1, it will follow from just the replica of your 0 to 1 only, but in the negative side. Okay, just in the negative side. Because slip becomes negative, you can understand these equations will be followed. At low values of slip, it will be close to 0 only. Okay, so it will follow this equation only. So T directly proportional to S. But since S is negative, torque will also go in the negative direction. So that's why torque is in the negative and goes like this. Again, this side will be a hyperbola, but in the negative direction. So next is our braking mode. Okay, last is our braking mode. In the braking mode, what will happen? In the braking mode, S will be greater than 1. S will be greater than 1, and maximum it can reach up to 2. So when this is reached, your NR will be greater, means NR will be in the opposite direction. That means it has to rotate in the opposite direction. Then only this slip will become NS plus NR. This is the prime concept, because your NS and NR means rotating magnetic field, and your rotor moves in the same direction. Its relative speed was NS minus NR. But now if I make the rotor too forcefully to rotate in the opposite direction, okay, so what will be slip? S is equal to NS plus NR. How this is brought about? We want to make the rotor to stop suddenly. Okay, that's why what we need to do, we have to apply a braking action that is called plugging. Now in that plugging, what happens? We change the phase sequence of this supply. And as the phase sequence of the supply changes, in the first class, if you remember, I had drawn a circle, and in that I have shown an arrow which was rotating clockwise or counterclockwise. So it was rotating in the same direction. If you change any phase terminal, A, B, C, you change any phase terminal, there will be phase change, and automatically your rotating magnetic field will start rotating in the opposite direction. Okay, so when that rotating magnetic field acts in the opposite direction, torque will be developed in the opposite direction. So that torque will be stop your motor to operate. But when the motor speed slows down, you have to disconnect your stator, because if you don't disconnect your stator, there will be always a magnetic field created, and that magnetic field created will be sufficient for the rotor to rotate. Okay, even maybe in the opposite direction also. So whenever you are doing this braking action, you have to remember that you can change your phase sequence of your terminals of the supply, but when you see that the motor is just slowing down, you have to remove your stator terminals. Then only your motor can be brought to stop. Without disconnecting, you can't stop your motor. So these are the regions of study. Our main region of study is the motoring region. And there are two more regions, generating region and braking region also.